Hey Booktube, this is Melissa. Welcome back to my channel, or thanks for watching. If you are new here, I wanted to do a catch-up video for you, kind of a wrap-up of what I've been reading or not been reading in January, and just a general catch-up on some life happenings that have been going on that might have that have affected my presence here on Booktube. Hopefully this isn't too shaky. I have the tripod on a very precarious level right here as I film in our bedroom, so I do apologize for any issues in that regard. Anyway, so long story short is that part of the reason for my scarcity since the last video has been because my very best friend in the world died on New Year's Eve morning. My friend Cheryl and I have been best friends since we were 10. In fourth grade we met, and we have called each other sisters ever since then, mainly because we both always wanted a sister and because our birthdays were so close together. Anyway, so she was diagnosed with a very aggressive brain cancer, metastatic carcinoma of the brain, in July of 2021. And when they found a mass on her brain, which eventually was a brain tumor, she subsequently had 3 brain tumors reoccurring within 3 months of that, and underwent some brain surgeries at each time that the tumors reoccurred, and has been going through like treatment and Keytruda treatments and whatnot for the last year and a half. But shortly before Thanksgiving, they discovered that a 4th tumor had emerged, and there was some question about whether they were going to operate on it, and so she elected to have the surgery and wound up with complications as a result of that, and died on December 31st. So that has been, as I've said in a few other places, that this has been, one of the most heartbreaking losses of my life, and it always will be. So anyway, it has, but I appreciate all the kind words that people have mentioned in comments. I've left a few comments mentioning this on other people's videos, and I'm slowly but surely working my way back through everybody's best of videos, which is kind of like a good comforting thing for me. I kind of find myself wanting to just sort of zone out at times. But as anyone who has gone through any sort of grieving experience like this, and I have enough familiarity with grief to know how this goes, so just sort of like be patient with me. I don't know, my videos haven't been all that consistent anyway, and I am hoping to get back to that, but we'll see. So anyway, so I wanted to give an update on what I've been reading. January has not been the best reading month for me. I have finished all, so far, we have only a couple days left of January, but I have finished all 3 books. I have DNFed 3 books. So let's get to it, shall we? Also, too, I do apologize for the lighting. This is the only room in the house where I can currently film at the moment. So I know that the lighting behind me is sort of weird, and I'm have like this odd thing going on where like the side of my hair looks really light and this side looks dark, but whatever. Anyway, okay, back to the books that I read and did not read in January. So first book was, and I did something that I never do, which is I carried over a book from last year, from 2022 into 2023. This goes against every principle that I have, every bookish credo that I subscribe to. And but I didn't self-destruct, I didn't, explode or anything, and the world somehow kept going. So anyway, and that book was, I'll put a picture up if I can manage to do that. I don't seem to be like able to do that too very well, but we will try. It is Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl by Joya Goffney. I have some of my notes here on my laptop to see if I have that correct. I want to make sure that I'm saying her name correctly. Yeah, Joya Goffney. And it is this story about I think Monique is 17, and she has been with her boyfriend Dom for a couple years now, and they want to take the relationship to the next level by having sex, and in fact that they have tried to have sex a number of times. Monique is a preacher's girl, so her father is a preacher of their I think it's a Baptist church, or a very like religious or church in Texas. And she knows that, by being in this relationship with Dom, who her father absolutely adores, but by deciding to have sex is going to be against everything that her father and her parents want for her, right? So they have a idea of how her life should be, and how she should, what type of a good girl she should be. And so the novel is really about her finding her own strength within to tell her father that what she wants for her life, and what her own plans and her goals. And so it turns out that, Dom has really been pressuring her, and and she realizes that, she slowly comes to realize that that is not the signs of a healthy relationship, right? So anyway, there's also another kid who is, whose name I am totally escaping here, and I'm not seeing the end of my notes. Anyway, so he is also kind of, I think his name might be Reggie. Yeah, Reggie. He's kind of like a troubled kid, very misunderstood. Her father has taken him under his wing to kind of reform him, set him straight, and so they become friendly, and develop a relationship themselves. So he kind of helps her with her identity and sense of self and all that. So it is, I enjoyed this book. It's definitely a YA book, and it's coming of age, and like the reasons for her condition. It turns out that she has vaginismus, and I felt like that was really important for of a topic for this for a young adult novel. And I think that it worked really well. I gave this about 3.5 stars, and I thought that the plot and the pacing was good. It did take me a little bit longer to read than I expected. I started it kind of in mid-December and finished it up the second week in January or something like that, again because of all that I had going on with not only like my best friend dying, and also some work related things. Work's been super busy, which has been good. A good distraction. And yeah, so I mean, I think that it's a good novel. It's about, friendship. It's about understanding yourself. It's about, becoming aware of your body. And I think that those are all good topics for teenagers to read about. And I think that so I thought it was really good. Anyway, so that was Confessions of a Good Girl. A second book that I read needs no introduction. It is Yes, Spare by Prince Harry. I am firmly on Team Harry, and I was before even reading the book. I am not, I wouldn't say I am as much of a royalist as I was, when I was younger. But, the story of Harry and Meghan and William and Kate and the family and the fallout and the dysfunction has been everywhere, and everybody knows the whole thing about it. But so I watched the documentary, I read Spare. I thought this was just a heartfelt, honest look at all that he has been through since, childhood, growing up with the perception of, with being the knowledge that he was born in case something happened to William, that he is the spare, and like what kind of psychological damage that kind of does to a person. Not like I'm saying he's psychologically damaged, far from it. I think that he is the most together person in the royal family at this point. I think, and yeah, I know that we are only getting one side of the story here, but I think that this book is very telling about the machinations behind the scenes of the palace, and of how the royals have really undermined him and Meghan. Some of the revelations that came out of this book, which you don't need me to tell you about because you've either read it or you've heard it in the press, are shocking and, again, just heartbreaking. I really liked this. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I gave this 4 stars just because, and the writing, we all know that it was ghostwritten, and the writing, I think, was what was just really excellent. Again, pace was fantastic. Really drew me into the world that Harry grew up in, and what he's trying to do in bringing awareness to how like the palace functions and their treatment of Meghan with, and I just feel that there is just really no justification for how that they were treated. And we'll see whether a reconciliation happens or not, but I thought Spare was fantastic. And I actually listened to most of this on audio, and Prince Harry narrates it, and I thought that was really great too. I enjoy listening to him, and I think that this worked really well. So that was book 2, and then book 3 was a reread of The Great Gatsby. I don't think I need to summarize the plot of Gatsby. We've all read this in high school, and that was part of the reason for my reread, is that I'm sure I read this in, I don't know, 7th grade, 10th grade. I honestly don't know or don't remember. And that was the reason for the reread, is that I think that Gatsby has a lot of references to, there's a lot of references in literature to Gatsby, and I wanted to have a better familiarity of the book. It was not one of my all-time favorites beforehand, and it's not one of my all-time favorites now. On a second read, I give it 3 stars. It was fine. I liked it. I don't think, in my view, this is anything like transformative or is like the greatest novel of all time. It also could be just that I'm just like tired of dead white male writers. I mean, that could just very well be it. So anyway, reread of Great Gatsby. And so those are the 3 books that I read in January. Not sure whether I will finish anything else. What I have currently going, I have, well, I'll save them for later. Okay, so the DNFs. So I am going to pull those up on my screen so I can kind of give some sort of concrete reviews as to what they are, because I actually did write a few reviews about these. First one that was a DNF, this is actually the second DNF of the month, and the fact that I've had 3 DNFs in January alone is kind of pathetic, I think, but my reading, like I said, is all over the place right now. I want to escape into a book, and reading is helping, but I need something that is a little bit lighter. I thought this book would be good. I'm doing the unread shelf challenge, which I will link below. It's one of my favorite reading challenges of the year. And there's a theme for every month, and this January's theme is comfort. So you can interpret that any way you want. It could be like a comfort read, a book that brings you comfort, an author that you find comforting, a subject matter. It really is open to however you want to interpret it, right? So, but the main thing is it needs to be a book that's on your shelf. So I picked Good Poems for Hard Times. It is selected and introduced by Garrison Keillor, and this is these are 185 poems that are based on his podcast, The Writer's Almanac, which I really enjoy, because I enjoy The Writer's Almanac, you would think that I would enjoy Good Poems for Hard Times. Sorry about the price tag that is on there. I don't know when I acquired this. Obviously, it's from like some used book sale. I think probably half price books or something. I got it for $3 on clearance. But yeah, so I really like The Writer's Almanac. You would think that I really would like this. And it's not that this is a bad collection of poems. It's fine. But it's the 4 hard times that I have a problem with. Some of these poems are like downright joyous and like happy. And I think that, if you're going through a tough time and you're looking for a poetry collection, this is not it. There wasn't anything that spoke to me about grief or losing someone you love, or, maybe there were a few poems like that, but I really expected this to be a lot more comforting than it is. I think, it suffers really from false advertising, really. But yeah, so maybe, your mileage may vary, but I was just not finding these poems to be of much comfort. And, if you're in the middle of like the dregs and the heartbreak or whatever, this collection is not it. I will likely unhaul it because it is not one that I would absolutely want to return to either way. Okay, so that was the first DNF. My second DNF, which was actually the first DNF of the year, was Back to the Prairie, a home remade, a life rediscovered by Melissa Gilbert. I am a fan of Melissa Gilbert's. I have enjoyed watching her on Little House on the Prairie, like most people have who are, my age, growing up in the 70s and 80s. And I thought that this book would be really interesting. Also, I'm trying to pull this up on my computer. I did not prepare very well, I don't think, for this. I'm sorry. So back to the Prairie. Yeah. So this is a memoir. She has another memoir, a Prairie Tale, which I really did like when I read it many years ago. But so this one is about how she left Hollywood behind, and her husband, Tim Busfield, of 30-something, who I also enjoy his work as an actor, they bought this rundown, ramshackle type of farmhouse in the Catskills at the height of the pandemic, right when the pandemic started happening. And so it's about supposedly like refurbishing the house and having doing all this work and like kind of remodeling your life, right? From, from Hollywood to the cats, to this country life. I think that what did not work for me for this is not what everybody else has, other reviewers have complained about with this. Other reviewers talk about how she gets a little bit political. If you know anything about Melissa Gilbert's politics, you know that that should not come really as a surprise. I didn't really get that far into it to have that be an issue. For me, it was really a matter of the writing style. It was very juvenile. It was very like, it wasn't a sophisticated writing style. She uses words like fugly and, excessive ellipses. And it just, I mean, maybe it was going for a conversational tone, but it just didn't work for me. I expected something different. And it was overly simplistic is what I said in my review, but and it like almost felt juvenile at times. So I don't know. I don't know what was the deal with this, but this was a DNF, so back to the library it goes. And finally, my second DNF of January was Elizabeth Finch by Julian Barnes. I love Julian Barnes, his writing. I really loved The Sense of an Ending, which is one of my all-time favorite books. And I really like his writing style and his ability to draw in characters. So this is a story about Elizabeth Finch, who is a philosophy professor at a college. I think it takes place in like the 70s perhaps, and it's told by a narrator who keeps in touch with her for many years. There's references to like at lunch many years later. So she's a philosophy teacher, and that was the part that really kind of tripped me up on this book, is that like there would be these long monologues from her about philosophy, and the class that she taught was Culture and Civilization. And I just was like, where is this going? I mean, this made no sense, and it was just really hard to follow. And I just decided I'm just not wasting my time. So yeah, so this goes back to the library as well. So there you have it. So what am I reading? I know this video is getting a little bit long, and I apologize for that, but what I'm reading right now is not too much. I have a collection of Ross Gay's new essay collection, Inciting Joy, to read at bedtime or when I'm not in the mood for something bigger or more intensive. So these are good. I like Ross Gay's writing. He's a Philly guy like me. Go Birds. And yeah, so this is fine. I'll probably finish this up at sometime this week. So I have a bunch of other books on my queue. I have Sea of Tranquility due back to the library in, I don't know, a couple weeks. I think I might have one more renewal on that, so I might try that. I don't know, if just finding my reading groove again has been hard. And like I said, those of you who have been through this kind of experience know that I guess sometimes that takes a little bit of time. So anyway, so that's about it for me. I hope that your 2023 has gotten off to a better start than mine. And yeah, so let me know what you've been reading. I am trying to catch up on your videos, and they have been a great source of distraction and comfort for me. And it feels like, being part of, your lives, and that has just really helped. So again, so thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you again in a next video, hopefully real soon. I am hoping to make these more of a regular occurrence. Okay, thanks, Booktube. Talk to you soon. Bye.